Hello, I'm John Ryan.
And I'm JD Orr, and this is the me and the boys going to go win a U.S. handball gold medal in 4 years, U.S. handball podcast.
Your boys would get waxed by our current national team.
It's
You never know. You never, people that are good at it, I'm not good at it, but the people that know how to work social media, they have a knack for something that's going to be, liked and seen and whatnot. And that was the one that I guess I had a good point and I was succinct and people liked it. But,
There we
you
go.
know, sometimes things just fall flat. I was just
Yep.
listening to a podcast. We'll get into Alana Maurer later. Do you know who she is?
No.
Stay awake. Maybe I'm mispronouncing her name. But we got a lot to cover. We're not going to cover it all. Um, we're not going to go into detail on the matches, but I guess where should we go? You want to
I,
just
I
talk
would
about social media in
I think
general?
I think we start there and then I'll let the rest fall into place. But the last week and a half has been nothing but just not even week and a half, just the last week has been I can't even keep up with it. I do have a job. I do try to do my best to do what's best for handball, but it's literally out of control. There's no real collection that we can do our best to get all these people's interested, putting them somewhere. But I think the key piece is getting the big fish. People like Josie Altidore, Robert Flores, people that have a following that have experience and connections in the sports world that can probably make a pretty quick
So,
impact very easily.
so I know one of those two names. Josie Altidore is a U.S. soccer player, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Did he say something about handball?
Yeah. Yeah. He like responded back to me as well. So,
No, I
um,
missed that. Yeah, there's so much going on.
all right,
Well,
that's what
that's
I'm saying.
awesome.
It's
Who,
crazy.
who's
And
the other guy?
Robert
Flores.
Flores, he was a sports center anchor for like 10 years. But I think when they had their big cuts a couple years ago, he was part of that, and now he's at MLB Network, I think.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Well,
um,
awesome.
between him and like Dari Noka, those are some of the standard ESPN handball fans. So getting some of those big fish interested. I've already gotten some DMs from people about like, hey, like I live here. What can I do someday?
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, I guess it's the 2 weeks every 4 years where people really care all of a sudden. It's pretty cool. How are you watching the games? Are you watching them
Uh,
on Peacock?
I did pull the trigger and spend the $8 to watch on Peacock. So did doing my best to tune in as much as possible between work, kids, etc. But I feel like I've seen a fair share of the matches so far. So
Yeah, you can get it for free. Well, I already had Peacock anyway, and the user interface, surprise, surprise, is better on uh, the one that you got to pay a little extra for.
mhm.
Even if you already have NBC, it's probably worth getting Peacock just because it's simpler to navigate and use. Um, you know, and that's one little thing is like I was talking, somebody was complaining about poor pronunciation of Pampas Savannah. I don't
Yeah,
know. I Hampus Wayne or whatever,
yeah.
Wayne's World. But it was a British announcer. I'm pretty sure. Um,
I still You would think that they would have phonetics, on their stat sheet before they go. I don't know. I've never been in the situation. I would think it's the Olympics. I would think you'd have phonetics right next to their name, but maybe I'm crazy. So,
and the one match I did see for NBC with Eric Freed and Don
mm,
Lewis, 96 Olympian. I could tell that Freed done some homework because his pronunciation was good.
okay.
I know Paul Bray, who is one of the announcers on the Olympic Broadcasting Service, he is religious about doing
Yeah.
his pronunciation homework.
And
So
he's
much
been in the
so
game for, a long time. So it's not, no, a lot of these names aren't new for him.
he put so much effort into it. I got a tweet once from somebody who is Brazilian saying, "I can't believe it. He's not pronouncing. Not only is he pronouncing them correctly, he's pronouncing them correctly in Brazilian Portuguese and not
Not just Portuguese.
Portuguese
Yeah,
Portuguese.
yeah, yeah,
The guy was just like blown away. All right. Um, right up there, you can see that's one of the more popular tweets that came
yeah.
out. Um, from Brian Donlin, he was one of the guys helping, I think, Barry Siff in his Garoppolo pro league
Yep.
thing. Um, so I don't see what's special about this and his following, but man, this took off.
Yeah.
You know, 389 likes, and it's all relative. Depending on who you are and how
Right.
popular. But that's a good following.
Do you have
Um,
the big one with the one that's like me and eight of my friends can go and win an
yeah,
Olympic
that one
medal?
goes. That one goes.
That one right here. I mean, you're
Yes.
talking, you know, 200 plus comments, 1,000 retweets, and
20,
27,000 likes. So
27,000. I guess that's the NCAA portal. If people follow that, they're interested in that. Well, I don't know if mine might be up there. Yeah, it's up there toward the top, but they might be doing that just to make me feel good since it's right there.
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people, a lot of people have seen that one. Um,
But like,
so
look at your metrics there. I mean, like your tweet alone got 1.8 thousand impressions. So that picture there's got 2.1 million views. So, handball, I would say to sum things up here is just blowing up on
yeah.
Instagram, social media, Twitter, especially. It's pretty much everywhere. So,
And the thing I liked about that video is I think that even somebody that doesn't know much about handball can watch that and go, "Oh, uh, the U.S. they're getting beat, lost by 9, but those guys look like they can play.
yeah.
Um, they look like good athletes. France is one of the best teams in the world.
Hmm.
That's exactly to my point. It's like your boys will get clobbered by our current national team.
Yep.
There's zero doubt in my mind.
And
Um,
that's kind of the problem I have is that, so much of this is nobody wants to put their, money where their mouth is because it would end the conversation, like I think Brian tweeted about, oh, do we want to pull the video of the NFL players playing in Hungary? Because that was comically bad. And so that was not with bad NFL players either. That was people like Todd Gurley and, uh, some other big time players. So that's one of those things that's like, I'd love to see it, but they lose that, oh, what if, conversation point. So end the
and it's
narrative.
good. It's good to get people talking. Don't get. I try not to get too angry. I got a little annoyed with Rashman. But Pat McAfee, tweeted about a different
Yeah.
dimension, which is like he's not saying I can get my boys, and he's got like lots of respect to the sport, blah blah blah. But in a different world, we dominate, and I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
that's a true statement, and it's
Yep.
much different from the barstool. I'm getting
Yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
7 guys, and we're gonna go win in 6 months.
Yep. 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 Yeah. I
But
sent a letter to Pat and to their office and said, hey, like when the Olympics come up, would love to come out and do some stuff, and never heard back from them. So it's a shame. Indy's not too far away. So,
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to one of my side topics from this, and it's maybe not something viral for handball, but somebody pointed out, Flava Flav,
yep.
you know, and
I
his
mean, he's
sponsoring
the
of
women's water polo teams. Yeah, it's awesome. And I think I brought this up a couple weeks ago, and it's just, the continued support from him. He's their number one, supporter, and they're on track to win a gold, and he's helped make that possible. So it's,
a black guy, African American, supporting women's water polo.
yeah,
Who would have thunk it? All
yeah,
right. And they've shown him in the stands, cheering on the team. And that's my question is, oh, water polo's got Flavor Flav and speed skating's got Stephen Colbert. who's going to be our hype man?
Yeah,
You know, yeah. Why not? Why not Pat McAfee?
yeah.
He could do it. He loves the sport.
It
You know,
wouldn't take
come
much either.
come out to the World Championships in next January. I know it's the middle of football season; it might not be practical, but hype it up. In between the playoff games.
Yeah, they can do the
Give it
playoff games from there. I mean, it's not a problem. Like,
give it 15 minutes of conversation on your show once a week. I mean, daily would be awesome,
yeah,
but if you wanted to be the hype man trying to get it to blow up, he could do it. Zero doubt.
yeah. And I think that
Um,
that's, I was on the local news this morning, here in Columbus, and I was telling them, I was like, look, like handball is always something that people talk about every 4 years, but nobody ever does anything about it. So we just need people to take that initiative, that next step to, go out in their community, start playing, coordinate with people. And that's really the problem we've had, is that there's nobody with that drive, because it takes time, money, resources. So having somebody like a Pat McAfee or a big name celebrity that can come in and say, "Hey, I'm going to gift, $2,000 to anybody starting a handball team." It's like, okay, like now that can spread like wildfire pretty quickly.
exactly. And that's where we're talking about a hype man, to promote, get the word out. The other thing, you talk about nobody does anything. We've got two board member slots that are vacant that need to be filled. And, if you're following handball and you've got fundraising ability, you've sat on boards for other organizations, and you want to make a difference, and you have an opportunity to, no kidding, actually make a difference because we're hosting an Olympics, fundraising should be easier, hyping should be easier.
Yeah,
You're
we
going to
and
be the
not just
guy in
Olympics. We got
charge.
we got World Championships two times. We got 2025, 2027, and the Olympics. You got three world events that we are competing with in the men and women in the next 4 years.
And where before it was like entirely thankless job, nobody cares, there's nothing to do. We're getting closer and closer to 2028 where, yeah, you could do some things.
Hmm.
If you've got connections, um, and you want to, have leadership to actually steer the organization. And and I don't, Mike Wall was the board acting board. We're talking the president of the board.
Yeah,
Somebody's going to have to fill that role. And and Mike Wall, from my perspective, I wasn't there. I mean, you can talk for
yeah, yeah.
yourself. I think from what I saw, he ran meetings well. He seemed to have a good idea of the general sporting structure, but I don't think he wanted it as like a second job.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's basically what I'm kind of talking about here.
yeah. It was
You'd have to get involved to really understand the sport, really understand the players, and spend some time.
Yeah, Mike, he's an attorney, and so this was kind of like part of his, like, I don't want to say service hours, but uh, his kind of part given back pro bono kind of work to service that role. So we also were told to not have a working board, so that's why a lot of it was just kind of, we make decisions more executive style rather than acting. And I think that that's part of the problem, that we didn't see a lot of activity because the leadership at the top was just kind of sitting there making sure that,
Well,
hey, we're following the
I don't
rules,
want to.
we're staying compliant.
I don't want. Yeah, I don't want to get into detail on this topic, but that works for a large
Yeah,
organization that's well
absolutely.
staffed with people that really understand the issues, and you just need to kind of make a few decisions. Let me get to the second non-handball related, and this girl is blowing
Oh,
up.
the rugby lady.
Yeah,
Okay, I didn't know that was her name. I've
yeah,
not. I've only seen her in a commercial or something like that. So
yeah. This is blowing up. See, I see the
two
U.S.
hundred and
Women's
forty-seven
handle.
thousand likes.
No, it's like 2 point.
I was just saying, I'm looking at like the likes alone is at
Yeah, there was when I
247,000.
hit on it, I think it was like 2.42 or 2 1 million views, 2 million views.
Yeah.
I don't know, some crazy
And this
number
is
like that.
just her sitting on her couch. You know, like it's
But
crazy.
I was just listening to podcasts. Went for a long walk this morning. Some of the games were blowouts, and the guy who was talking like, she is good at this. She is relatable, and that's why her accounts, her social media accounts, are blowing up. And I kind of talked about like, hey, we need like the Cavender twins or
Yeah.
Livy Dunn or somebody, to start playing handball.
Tell Paul Skeens to screw the Pirates and come win us some medal.
you know, Paul Skeens, guaranteed, he knows what handball is.
Yep.
He's seen it. He probably said like, I'd probably be pretty good at this. So he's walking by there on the way to baseball practice.
Hmm. Hmm.
For those that you don't know, the Pirates uh, pitcher Paul Skeens, he transferred to LSU. He spent his first 2 years at Air Force, and he is the best baseball player. Surprise, surprise, Air Force ever
Yeah.
had. We made the NC, we got into the College World Series, not the final part, but we qualified.
Yeah.
Um, but I guess we don't even really need somebody famous to come to handball. They
No.
can become famous on their own. I, but yeah, this is amazing.
And you can go over on YouTube and find, countless number of people that do the whole like, this guy reacts to his first ever handball game, and you look and it's got like 30,000 views, and you're just like, it's just some random dude watching the game and just commenting on it, like nothing, nothing crazy. I'm old man take. I don't understand watching somebody else watch something. I don't understand that, but if it helps us get awareness and get the word out, I'm all for it.
And um, any other social media aspects?
No, I think that kind of covers what's going on there, but I don't know if you want. Let's talk a little bit more about what's going on the court or in the sand
Yeah, well,
over in
let's talk.
Paris.
We could talk in detail about what's going on in the
Yeah,
court, and I've been loving the games. I guess the only one thing I want to talk about is uh is France Egypt, and I tweeted this morning. I think that's the most intriguing group play game I can ever think of at this stage, and
yeah,
and the reason is the defending champions. They just won the European Championships in January, have lost 2 games. They've looked absolutely
out
horrible.
of place. Yep.
I just mind-bogglingly poor. And Egypt's looked pretty decent. They could go if they don't get their act together. They're going 0-3.
Yeah.
This is just I. I'm just I'm
Yep.
just aghast.
No, and I told somebody this morning, 'cause they were asking about France, and I was like, well, they have a game with Egypt where if they lose, they're not out of the running for a medal, but it is a much taller mountain to climb. They would have to hope for who is it, Hungary to they'd have to beat Hungary and then have Hungary lose again, I think, for them to get that fourth spot in that group. But that's a lot of dominoes that you don't have to deal with,
It's
so
it's
just win the
actually a
game.
little easier than that, and you could have the strange situation of the final game in group play of France just needs to beat Hungary to finish fourth. And oh, by the way, other group, that's your reward for finishing first
Yeah.
is a quarterfinal
Going
matchup versus the
France.
home team
Yeah.
who maybe has finally gotten their act together. But there's plenty of other podcasts, and we'll talk about yours and the handball hour. If you want to get into the weeds on
Weeds.
there,
Yeah.
go go to town. There's plenty to talk about. But one thing I'd like to talk about real briefly is the beach handball showcase. And I guess I'll ask you, JD, did you get a chance to check it out? And how much of it did you check out?
I have not tuned in once. I know, isn't it on YouTube? I think is the problem for me is just finding the right time. And I don't have to think for right now with Peacock. I can just be like, okay, it is this time of day. I know there's going to be handball on. I don't even know if it's just like whatever. But with the beach, I don't have that implanted into my brain as to when I'm supposed to go tune in and where to find it. So why don't you let the public know so I
Well,
can go do that?
I had a purpose for asking my question. I didn't think it would be a total
Zero.
zero. All right. There you go. You're not
I,
supporting our beach handball.
I'll tell
You
you
don't
this
care
much.
about beach handball. Bad attitude. Just court indoor handball. I don't like beach handball.
I'll tell you,
Stupid game. Go
seeing
ahead.
seeing Drew wearing green is just like a weird look to me. Like I've seen some pictures of him in a green jersey, and it's just like none of this. Like it's all weird. So I've not told him that it looks just not a good color for. It's not that it's bad color for him. It's just like it's just wrong in my brain. So
Yeah. Um, I've only watched like maybe a minute or two, and it's this was a great idea, a great experiment,
mhm.
and a way to, in my opinion, reward some of these hardworking beach handball athletes and give them an opportunity to compete in the same city as the Olympics or near Paris. I mean, Qatar is a nearby suburb. Um, to get lodging, probably meals. I don't know exactly how the Maison de Handball works and the hotel right next to them. You'll find out in Los Angeles. That's a huge city, but finding accommodations at an Olympics,
Mhm.
that is awesome to get
Mhm.
that taken care of. And I know that's not what they wanted to compete, showcase their sport and stuff. But that's a real nice side benefit
Yep.
um, to be able to have a place to stage from, all taken care of for you. Um, but a great idea, great experiment, but it just totally swallowed up by everything going on around it.
Right.
Um,
It's like you said, it's not in the heat of all the activities. I think somebody told me they tuned in. There was, maybe just parents and some friends in the stands, kind of thing, and it's disappointing because, it's definitely one of those things that we want to do the best we can to promote. I know that the weather has not been great.
the first day it was raining,
Yeah,
which yeah, that was not good. They were able to get some people into the stands, maybe a couple hundred people, maybe, it's always kind of hard to fully gauge.
yeah,
And it looked good. You could tell it was good competition and stuff. Um, but it not an opportunity to make waves. Um, if they could somehow have said like, can we have the week before the Olympics start
yeah,
at your beach volleyball venue?
yeah,
That would have been
yeah.
the most spectacular, awesome thing ever,
Get the Eiffel
because that
Tower in
is
the
the most
background. Yeah,
that is the most awesome venue in the history of the Olympics. I mean, that is just uncomparable. And what's happened is they have strung out that beach volleyball thing so it like lasts the entire 2 weeks. It
yeah.
used to be something.
I've tried to even see who's playing, because like the Chase Budinger thing, like okay, like, but I every time I tune in to see USA beach volleyball, there's two other random dudes, and I'm like, who? How many teams do we have? Like, how does this tournament work?
Yeah, you like go on Wikipedia. They have like a nice
Full
long explanation on
display.
qualification and stuff. But it used to. I mean, when they do a beach volleyball tournament, it lasts like 3 or 4 days and it's done.
Hmm.
And because this has become popular, they're stringing it out a little bit. Because one of the things I originally thought that beach handball could do is like kind of like um, some other venues that the rugby that's going on at Stade de France. They're going to move that
Hmm.
out. They're going to put track and field in, where you could have one week be beach volleyball, the next week be beach uh,
Handball.
handball,
Yeah.
and there's just there's just they're like no, we don't we don't want to share.
Yep.
Not that they should have to, but it's something that theoretically would you. It's the same footprint. It would be very simple. Um, so,
Yeah.
well, we're
So
talking fast.
Yeah, well, we'll see how things shake up for them. I'll try to tune in to support Evier, Drew, and Christine. Uh, but
Well, it's
yeah, it's
over.
oh, it's over. Oh,
It's over.
well, jeez.
I I tried to find the videos to pull up. I couldn't even
Ooh,
find those on the IHF
ooh.
YouTube page. So
Well,
yeah,
all
it's
right.
over. I'm
My
at least I
bad,
think it
guys.
is. Um,
Man,
so
that's really didn't it just start on Saturday?
it was just a 3 day event,
Okay.
kind of like a normal uh, beach handball event. Usually they're like 3 days, aren't they? You play two
Yeah.
matches a day, pool play. You can string it out if you have a bigger pool. You can um, you can string it out so that you can get more teams involved. Like I think the World Championships are a little bit longer
Hmm.
than some of the others. Um, well, the other thing I wanted to touch on briefly, and I didn't have time to pull that up, is you've got a little bit of a daily podcast that you're working. Do you want to talk just
Yeah.
briefly about that?
Yeah. So Mark Wright out of the San Francisco area, he's big into video and media and um, wanted to do an American Handball house. So he wanted me and some others to be in Paris at a Airbnb and bring athletes into the house and do a talk show. And I told him I don't have a press pass. I don't know that they're going to be able to leave the Olympic Village. There's a lot of hoops and hurdles that would need to be, crossed that I don't think we're prepared for. So he said, "All right, well, let's do a virtual version." I was like, "Fair." So we've been doing a daily, basically recap and look ahead for every day's matches. And sandwiched in that show, we have former Olympians with USA Team Handball calling in and recounting stories and fun times that they had as part of the Olympics. So it's been pretty cool to do. I always enjoy hearing the old stories from guys back in the day, and we'll have some ladies on as well here coming up. But that's pretty much what we've been doing. Max and I have been making our betting picks, and do not listen to us. Just do the opposite of whatever we said. So Max got off to a hot start and has gone completely cold, ice cold. So
Yeah, I just
uh,
pulled it up, and um,
so
you
yeah,
guys talk
he
about some of the games and some of the picks, and I like I said before, there's
yep
lots of folks doing that. But I have enjoyed uh, the uh, um, the Olympic talks. I kind of heard quite a bit of the '72 stories. I
hmm
did a podcast many years ago, regarding that. But I hadn't heard McVeigh. I
yeah
played against him some, but those the stories on the uh, of the Wayman Tisdale and Bobby
yeah
Knight in the
Bobby
hall.
Knight yeah.
That was great.
It's crazy, and that's the thing.
Somebody
It's like
like that.
he talking about how he's got pictures with Michael Jordan and Carl Lewis, and it's like, that's the cool thing that I think I try to really sell people on, right now, especially on the women's side. It's like you could find your way to being in the Olympics, and that opens the door for endless memories, and I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, so there you guys are talking to uh it's God, I can't think of his first name, Joe?
Joe
Joe
McVeigh.
Joe
Yep.
McGay. Yeah. So yeah. So older than me, but I remember playing against him in the early days of my career.
Yeah, it's
And
because he was 84, 88 Olympian, so you would have, you know, right at the
we
start of yours, end of his kind of thing.
when no, he kept playing. He's not
Okay.
that much older than me.
You look good
We
then.
probably a 10-year overlap, mostly
Okay.
at the
All
national
right.
championships. I think he played for uh, I think he probably played some games for Cal Heat, and then I think he probably played for Sushi Masters
Okay.
um, a few times as well. But yeah, those are definitely worth checking out, and I'll put a link into that.
Yep. And we were
Um,
doing those every day. 9 o'clock my time. So Mark usually gets them uploaded around 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you want to tune in or watch it when you can, try to do try to keep it to 30 minutes. So keep it concise. But it's been fun. We'll do it every day. We're going to be out in Flanders, New Jersey this coming weekend. So be doing it live from SSC. So that'll be an entertaining one.
Well, if maybe Flanders should like reschedule during Olympic years. Or maybe that's part of the charm.
Well, I'm sure we'll have the games up somewhere. I haven't talked to Hansi about how he's going to do that, but I definitely mentioned it to him earlier on in the summer. So we'll see. We'll see how the crew. They all got their bungalows, so they're already all there watching it right now. So
Oh, they have bungalows on site.
oh yes, yes, that's a whole compound. I don't know. Have you ever been?
I did participate in the Flanders tournament. That was the very first DC Diplomat
Okay,
match, as a matter of fact, I think.
it's
That's
their
the infamous
60
photo with me and
65th
Brian
year.
Cawthorn.
Oh, okay, nice.
Uh,
Yes, yes, yes,
I think you remember seeing that.
yes.
That was a long, long time.
And
No,
I didn't even
actually,
recognize Brian. So
yeah. No, actually, we played some matches before that. I think that was my last match before because my daughter was born. Yeah, so it
okay.
wasn't our first match, but it was a good tournament. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's one of
Uh,
my favorites. So, uh, very cool spot. A lot of history there. Obviously, even you know, post World War II, them getting it started, being a bunch of Germans hanging out, being secretive. They had FBI lines tapped into on site just in case there was any any mischievous activities taking place.
well, what was that for? Was because of German
Oh yeah, just
aspect
because
to it?
it was a German club and it was close to New York, and so the FBI was like, we don't need a bunch of Germans colluding together here, so close. So um, yeah,
Funny. We're really going on a tangent here,
yeah.
but
Sorry,
Mark Locker, he's the
Lockemeyer.
Swiss.
Oh,
Nope,
locker. Oh no, that locker. Yep, yep,
the Swiss guy
yep.
that for
Super
whatever
into
reason
loves
he
supporting
researching,
us. Yes.
and he researched all of those old German clubs that were playing, back in the day, and even where they got the people that played in the outdoor Olympics,
Hmm.
in '36.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and at the same time, there was this HBO show, and it was like a crazy show where it's kind of like an alternate universe where Charles Lindbergh was running for president. I don't know if you remember Charles
Interesting.
Lindbergh, but
Yeah,
he had he was a Nazi sympathizer. Not overly so,
yeah.
but
But
behind there's pictures of him, chatting with Hitler. And he eventually he said like, okay, yeah, I'm done with this guy. But they were actually taught. They actually had a scene in that where they were like at a German club, and I was like, it was at the same time that Mark was talking about the early days. I'm going, wow, some of those guys probably played
probably.
outdoor handball.
Yep, yep, yeah.
Maybe they know the Bunings. So anyway, it was kind of a just kind of a
Yeah.
strange coincidence.
The world is
Um,
connected in many weird ways. So
which well, are you guys taking the Armada there?
we're taking the Pandas. So the Pandas, they're invested in now trying to win a championship there. So they've finished second and third the last 2 years. So they're sick and tired of that. They want to win. So I'll be
I'm gonna.
playing not goalie. So
Oh
that
boy,
tells you where
what do you
they see
center
me
back? Center back.
pivot. So
You've been watching so much handball now. You kind of even though you're older, even though you don't really have a jump shot,
directing
you're
traffic.
such a good distributor.
Yes.
You can get the job done. I
They
I
don't
know how
like my
that goes.
speed. They play at a faster speed with them when I play center back. They don't like it. So I'm fine. Whatever.
Oh wow.
I'll sit the bench. So
Wow. Well, we were so excited talking so fast. We got through all our topics.
it's crazy.
Um, that's crazy. Like I said, I'm watching all these matches. It's just awesome. Best time ever. Um, unless you got any other thoughts, JD, we'll
I
cut
would
it a
just
couple minutes short.
say one of my surprises, two surprises, I would say, not counting the France thing because I'm not scared of the two surprises of the Olympics so far. Is that France one is not a surprise necessarily to me because I already knew that they were going to lose to Denmark that first game. So write that off. Whatever they gave up, not a big deal. Losing to Norway, that one's a little more concerning. But we'll see if they get back on track against Egypt. But I would say the two big shockers to me, Angola women. I did not expect them to be A, winning games, or B, I figured they'd be competitive, but I did not think that they would be uh, in as much control as they've been, and that's been very shocking to me to see. And then the German men, I look at that roster and I don't even recognize half the names, and they're out here just taking care of business. So I don't know what's going on
Well,
there.
I had a chance to see a couple of their friendlies because they were on free German TV
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
can watch it with VPN. And I was like, going, these guys look pretty good. And the other, credit to Gislason, he just said the old guys aren't getting it done.
yeah,
I don't care. I can't remember where something like Gergich is playing for. Like, I don't know if Eisenach or somebody somebody you never
yeah.
see playing, but he just basically saying like these guys are ready. I
And
got a small roster. I'm gonna go with them. So far, working for them.
right,
So
yeah,
we'll see. Um, Angola is a little bit interesting. They pretty much always at the Olympics, so they have that going for them, and they've always had a few good players. The other thing is Spain. Spain, the Spanish women
yeah.
don't
What's
got
going
much.
on? Yeah,
Yeah,
jeez.
but yeah, um, you never know what's going to happen. It was nice to see the rest of the world rise up and get a few victories, um, at least on the women's side.
Yeah, I mean Korea, Brazil, Angola with wins. It's like, oh, okay, this is not a European dominated event, which is nice
Yeah, well, we'll
for
see.
now. Yeah, I was gonna say it's short
Well,
lived.
everybody enjoy the handball. Uh, Follow us on social media. I always forget to say this. If you want to see the podcast first, I typically post it to YouTube prior to the MP3 and the show notes. So go ahead and subscribe. You'll get an immediate acknowledgement
Notification.
that it's available. But for JD Orr, I'm John Ryan, and thanks for listening.